edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams, your host. And we're going to take a look this week at a Britbox exclusive called Honor. Now, Honor is a true crime drama that revolves around Detective Chief Inspector Caroline Goode and her real-life journey to bring to justice the killers of Banaz Mahmod, a young Londoner murdered by her own family for falling in love with the wrong man. Appalled by the fact that Banaz came to her colleagues not once, not twice, but 5 times, voicing her fear for her life, only to be dismissed, Caroline vows that she will not rest until she finally gets justice. It's a promise, though, that quickly becomes all-consuming, taking up both her professional life as well as her personal life. Playing the role of Detective Chief Inspector Caroline Goode is, of course, Keeley Hawes. Now, many of you remember her from the Bodyguard, outstanding work there. The show is directed by Richard Laxton. Many of you remember his work from Mum and Mrs. Wilson, and written by the very talented Gwyneth Hughes, who brought us 5 Days and, of course, Vanity Fair. Now, this 2-part limited-run drama will be airing as a one-time TV movie. So it's going to be it's not a miniseries, it's a movie, okay? It's called Honor, and the woman who's one of the driving forces behind the show, Liza Marshall, the producer, joins us. Liza, an outstanding cast, a talented group. Honor is an amazing show. Let's talk about how you came about putting together this outstanding group of people to tell the story in Honor.
Well, it's been a long journey, this project. I think it was about 6 years ago that I came across a Bodyguard documentary about Banaz's story. I mean, it was a very well-known case here in the UK, so obviously I'd heard about it. And then coming across the documentary and seeing Caroline Goode talking about the case, I just found it incredibly inspiring that one woman had managed to bring these awful men to justice alongside. And I thought it could make a really great drama that you sort of get behind it, maybe a bit more than the documentary did in terms of Caroline and her quest for justice. And so I approached Gwyneth, who I'd wanted to work with for a long time, and she wrote a brilliant script. And then it took a long time to get it made. I think because it was quite a controversial subject matter, and I don't know, the moment had to be right. And then finally ITV stepped in and Keeley came aboard, and then we hired Richard Laxton, and we made the show, and it all came out brilliantly.
Well, Keeley Hawes, who plays, of course, Caroline, does an outstanding job, and she seems like a natural for this.
Yeah, she was absolutely our first choice. We never went to any other actresses, and I've been a fan of her years, and I think she was incredibly brave. She really wanted to play the character in a very truthful way. So she was very stripped back, no makeup, let her roots show. It was actually interesting, quite opposite to the actual policewoman, because she herself is quite a small lady and she wears heels and makeup and is very nicely put together. So obviously if you dress Keeley like that, she looks fabulously glamorous and quite unlike a police officer. So we went for a slightly different look with her, and she was so immersed in the story and fascinated by the case, and really wanted to do the right thing for everybody involved, all of Banaz's sisters and family, and she just inhabited Caroline so brilliantly. I mean, I think it's the best thing she's ever done myself.
What about the ensemble cast? I mean, that's we've got some really good people on the ensemble group that make up this entire outstanding film.
Yeah, we had a brilliant casting director called Amy Hubbard, and we worked with we had a Kurdish casting assistant, so we tried to cast in the Kurdish community as well as with actors, experienced actors, and we just put together this fantastic cast, and I think everyone was so moved by the story that we managed to get such a good caliber of people. Like Leanne Barreto, I think in particular, it's one of the biggest parts she's done so far in her career because she's very young. And I think she's just sensational. I mean, she's the second lead in the show, in my opinion, and she's so moving watching her play Beckow. Who obviously we could never meet real Beckow because she's in witness protection.
Mm-hmm. It's
but we have. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that Beckow, when Gwyneth spoke to her a lot on the phone as we were researching and developing the drama, and then we haven't heard from her for a long time because we're unable to contact her. But eventually she got in contact with us, and she absolutely loved the drama. And even though it was a very difficult watch for her, she was hugely supportive of it and just really, really loved it, which was really gratifying.
Absolutely. Now, any producer I've ever spoken to, or actor, actress I've ever spoken to, says that whenever they're doing something that's true life situation, it's far more difficult than scripted. Why don't you fill us in on why dedication to detail, especially in something like this case, is so very important?
I think you have such a duty to in this case, to Banaz. You know, he's this incredibly brave young man. He went to the police 5 times and was completely failed by them.
Right.
And nobody looked out for him. Nobody looked out for him. So we felt a huge responsibility to tell the story accurately. And certainly every single thing that you see in the film was told to us by the characters in the film. We spoke to absolutely everybody depicted. And it's incredibly faithful to real events. And it is much, much harder than a drama because when you're in script development, you think, well, why can't the characters do this? Well, because that doesn't actually happen. So, and Gwyneth is brilliant at that. She's done quite a lot of true stories. And there's a huge burden of responsibility, particularly on her, because she kept in contact with all of the charities that we work with. And as I say, all of the police officers and, Beckow and Ramat. Before sadly he took his own life, she's in contact with all of these people, and I think it gives it a real veracity. But also, it is a little bit like doing a period drama as well, because it's in very recent past, but obviously everyone has a different mobile phone and different computers and all of that. But we work really hard with our production designers to get all of that right as well.
Without giving away much, the story is compelling in so much as, it's about a young woman whose family kills her.
Yeah.
I mean, that in and to itself is a pretty intense part of any drama to come to grips with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely horrific story, and I think here in the UK, it came out here just after the first lockdown, and I think it really, we got a huge view figure here. I think that 6.7 million people watched it in the UK, and I think there's, unfortunately, during the lockdown here in the UK, there was a big surge in domestic violence, and I think that's certainly why it struck a nerve here, the film in the UK, because while it's an individual story, I think it speaks volumes to what so many women are going through across the world.
Right.
And yeah, yeah.
Well, in some ways, it came out in such a compelling way that, given what you've just said, shining a light on domestic violence, in some ways it became probably a cathartic public service.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think the best thing about the film is that calls to the charities that we worked with, charities that work with on the based violence victims, went up after the program was transmitted. And we also saw a lot of stuff on social media with people reaching out, because the problem with so-called based violence is the culture of shame that surrounds it. And it's very difficult for women and girls to speak out within their respective communities. So I think you just see mainstream television about this issue. Hopefully, and even if there's only one person who phones up one of these helplines, helps get out of a difficult situation, then it would have been worthwhile.
Absolutely, and I assume that it's the highest testament to you and the actors and the people who put this together is that the people involved, as well as the people who face this terrible situation on a daily basis, it registered with them.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And I think also I hope it's a really good drama as well that shows that there's hope, despite all these terrible dark things that can happen. Like there is, one individual can do a huge amount to change the course of events.
For sure. I don't want to get away from the fact that it is a well-crafted, well-done piece of work. It really is. It's a compelling drama, and it really does, after the first 10 minutes, if you're not hooked, then you don't have a pulse.
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad you liked it.
Well, I'm certainly sure that there'll be a lot more. Now, the great thing here is it drops on the 16th here in the U.S. on Britbox. From your standpoint as a producer and a content creator, the fact that the world has gotten so much closer with streaming services that we can enjoy your work and the work of your fellow countrymen here in the United States through Britbox, who does BBC ITV and different things, almost in real time. That's wonderful for us, and it has to also be hopefully good for you as a content provider as well.
I hope so. Another show that I make called Temple is on Spectrum in the US, and it's been doing really well on that as well. So it's great, because I think things are really changing. I think 5 years ago it was a lot harder for UK material to really work in the US. But I think, as you say, that the world has shrunk in some ways, certainly content-wise, and we're all watching shows from all over the world, which I think is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's I find myself watching a lot more programming from all over the world than I am watching product from the United States anymore. I probably watch more programming from other countries than I do any of the four networks that are the key broadcast networks, and then of course the many other smaller but powerful networks, certainly HBO, Showtime, those. But it's a different trope. I mean, you get to see things. And the other part of the equation, which Britbox brings out, and many of the UK situations, is your series are much shorter than ours, which makes it easier to binge it on a weekend or binge it on over the course of a couple of days.
I know, that's great. Long-running American shows are such a commitment, to watch 6 seasons of something feels like a big investment of your time. Whereas, as you say, on is really, it's like a film length cut into 2 parts. So ideally it should be watched in one sitting, if that's possible.
Well, the one thing when I used to be in programming here in television in the U.S. is you had to the goal was to hit 5 years, okay? And if you got on 5 years, that meant that you had basically produced over 100 episodes, which then would get you into syndication, which then would get you basically, an almost everyday, repeat of the show. And that's all gone. You guys have even had an effect in that regard, because now we're getting half seasons of shows where you'll get 12 or 14 shows where they used to produce 20, 24 shows. So even, there has been an effect, a positive effect on the shows here in the United States, of them even reducing the amount of production of programming to meet a better and more quality content. So it is a different landscape that we live in, but it's I think a better one.
Yeah, me too. Well, I've just finished shooting the second season of the show I mentioned, Temple, which has been quite a challenge during the pandemic. We shot for 96 days. And,
wow.
So I think there's a lot of people shooting here in the UK. So I think you're going to get a lot of British drama coming your way, hopefully, because I think it's been slightly harder
For sure.
in Canada.
Yeah.
But, yeah. We're all back up and running to an extent here in the protocols. But,
yeah,
there's a big program coming out of here.
All right, well, it's shameless plug time, and let's make certain that people know all you want them to know about Honor.
That what I want them to know. Sorry,
yes.
I want them to know that it's on.
This is your chance to tell people why they should watch Honor.
I think they should watch it because it's a fascinating story about a case in the UK and has the most incredible performance by Keeley Hawes, who's a wonderful actress. And I think it's a gripping, moving, compelling story that will make you think differently about certain about honor-based violence if you've ever thought about it. And I just think it's just a great human story, and I hope people like it.
Special thanks to Liza Marshall, the producer of the Britbox original Honor, which drops on the 16th. All the information on Honor will be in our show box below. Be sure to check it out, and also check out Britbox at the same time, okay? All right, we'll be back with more of Stream On right after these words from the 2021 Ford Bronco.
This country has a strange relationship with the wild. As much as we talk about it, and paint paintings of it, and sing songs about how we're destined to be it, we seem to spend every waking hour in places that keep us away from it. So to get back to the wild, we need something built for it. Something that acts like it's been out here before. Because it has. Introducing the return of a legend. The all-new Bronco 2-door. The first ever Bronco 4-door. And the adventure-ready Bronco Sport. Built to get you to all those places you normally only see in nature documentaries. Built for capability. For adventure. For enjoying the open air, on the open road, in the parts of the world without posted speed limits. Because if something is going to be called a Bronco, it better be able to live up to that name. Meet the future of off-roading. The all-new Bronco family.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, if you're not one of the over 50,000 people who've joined our little family here worldwide, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we make it simple. It's free. That's right. You can find us at the Apple Podcast Store. Same at Google. You can get us at Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, or, by all means, you can find us at TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and the folks at YouTube, just to name a few. Now, you have one of those wonderful, interactive speaker devices. All you have to do is say, hey, play Jim Williams', well, don't do that. Say, play Stream On with Jim Williams, and it'll do it for you, okay? Now, if for some reason none of this works, pull out the old Google machine, type in Stream On with Jim Williams, hit your favorite button or the subscribe button, and bingo, you'll get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone, your tablet, or to both, okay? So please go out there and do that today. So what's happening, okay, this weekend? Things you should be looking for. Let's go to the sports side. Some really cool stuff's going on. One of the great golf tournaments of the year is played out on the Monterey Peninsula. It's the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and it will be featured this week on CBS All Access. Highly recommend that you check it out. That's CBS All Access for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Something that's always fun. Race car fans, big weekend. It's the Super Bowl of auto sports. That's right. The Daytona 500. It's on Fox. You can get that on your Fox Sports app, And if you don't have access to that, I suggest that you try Sling or a 7-day subscription to YouTube TV. Any one of those will get you the opportunity to watch the race on, of course, on Fox. Okay, so give that a shot. All right, if you haven't tried it yet, each week we try to give you something different. Try Discovery Plus. There's a phenomenal amount of content, over 55,000 hours of content. Some of it's brand new. You get a peek into Joanna and Chip Gaines' new Magnolia Network. It's definitely worth a 7-day trial. And since the weather's not going to be necessarily that good over the weekend here in the U.S., it might be a good idea to give that a shot. Okay? So that's Discovery Plus. All the information on all this will be in our show box below. We want to thank you for joining us this time around. Special thanks to our guest, Liza Marshall. Be sure to check out Honor starting on the 16th and all the wonderful stuff they have on Britbox, okay? All right, for the entire team here at Stream On, I'm Jim Williams saying have a safe and a very, very enjoyable streaming weekend. Until next time, take care.